3 words, South Dallas is Dallas, Texas. Elizabeth Wattley is a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm also a boss and committed to the work of bringing the historic Forest Theater back to life. I actually grew up in Cedar Crest, which is on the other side of the bridge of South Dallas, which basically means South Dallas was always a big part of my upbringing. My dad is born and raised on Reed Lane, went to Mount Moriah Baptist Church for many, many years, X-Line, South Dallas Cultural Center. So South Dallas is a place that has absolutely contributed to my upbringing. But there's something just really special about the neighborhood. And every time I wonder what it is, it's the people. It's that place when you're walking, you still see somebody like Sister Davis who comes and pinches your cheeks. There's still a familiarity around the neighborhood, even though so much change is coming. Forest Forward, I am the president and CEO, and I am also the founder of the organization. So that means I wear many hats, and that means I continue to grow the organization to support the growth of the organization as well as our mission and things that we're doing in South Dallas. So my connection to the Forest Theater, I kind of feel like is similar to most. It was one of those buildings that everybody drives by. They see what a beautiful contribution it is to the neighborhood, to MLK Boulevard. But you never really go in, right? So there were the retail spaces and the shops. We would go there, buy clothes after church, stop by the barbershop, eat. But going into the actual theater component, I actually never went in as a child. And it's funny that so many people have that same story where they're like, oh, I drove by, I went to the theater, or they spent some times at, the Green Parrot or Weatherby City Lights, but actually going into the theater, it is a special opportunity that some have experienced and some have not, but it is a beautiful space. At the Forest Theater, there's some retail shops in the front. And so there used to be a vendor there that sold clothes, and his name was Sonny, and he sold clothes from Africa. And he would have them imported in, and he would be like, Pele jeans, FUBU. But that was one of the experiences there. We would stop by and shop. So I think being called a community architect is, I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's a bit too descriptive of the work. But what I will say in neighborhood revitalization and being able to contribute to the community landscape is really exciting. It's really exciting to be part of, especially because this building, again, so many people love this space. So many people have a pre-existing relationship with the space, and having the opportunity to bring those memories back to life, that space back to life. What I've discovered through this work is that my steps are ordered, and everything that I've done in the past makes sense for this type of moment. So when I was at Paul Quinn and I transformed the football field into an organic farm, immediately that was learning how to build something on my own. I was working with President Michael Sorrell, and he's like, hey, we're gonna transform this football field into a farm. Go figure that out. And once I really realized what that mission meant, how we were going to serve a population that was so deserving and was underserved, how could we bring access to them and bring healthy food to the neighborhood? And then that's really when I got bit by the bug for social entrepreneurship. I knew I wanted to be able to use these business principles to solve complex social justice issues, which is why I went to SMU, Cox Business School, and got my degree in entrepreneurship and strategy. And so from there, once I graduated, I did a little bit of nonprofit consulting and then joined City Square, where I worked on the cottages, which is 5,400 square foot homes. And so that was really looking into housing immediately and seeing what that meant, but then having the opportunity to look at it broader in an entire neighborhood revitalization effort. And that's because we start looking at housing and then you realize it's not enough. There's more that needs to be contributed to develop the entire neighborhood and community. So the opportunity to use the Forest Theater as an anchor for neighborhood revitalization is mega. It's big time. I'm ready to see the tower light back up. It feels like we've been swinging at this forever, but no attempt is unnecessary. Everything we do, every single inch that we move goes towards getting the lights back on at the building. The Forest Theater has a very unique, interesting history, specifically in Dallas, Texas, and South Dallas. So the theater was built in 1949. It was originally a segregated theater, and people of color were required to sit in the balcony. But at that time, the neighborhood was a very heavy Jewish population. We were also a Carl Hoblitzell Theater, which means we're the Sisters of the Majestic, the Lakewood, and the Inwood Theater. And so these theaters are known for their beautiful architecture. Hoblitzell certainly did not spare a penny, if you would, when he's putting these beautiful spaces together. It was state of the art. The Forest Theater is one of the first theaters in Southwest to have air conditioning. And that was a really big deal. And so as that was happening, as all of that excitement and energy and economic development that was coming to the neighborhood, so was the construction of South Central Expressway. So when that was happening, South Central Expressway was actually this big part of innovation for Dallas, because you would be able to drive straight through the community and not stop. So they built an underpass. You didn't have to stop, which meant two things. One, you weren't stopping in the neighborhood, and then you were bypassing people. So that really started to play a role over time, so much that segregation and redlining policies began to suffocate the neighborhood. So all the schools in South Dallas were forced to retire their school colors, names, and mascots. So James Madison used to be Forest Avenue High School, and the MLK Arts Academy used to be the Colonial School. And that was simply because people didn't want them to attend their schools. So they stripped the sentiment. You can have these buildings, but you can't say you went to our school. So that's a pretty big deal of what people would tell you, that they don't want to share a school, a space of learning and education with you. After this massive transformation happened in South Dallas and the Jewish community moved, what ended up happening is the only way the theater could survive was then to cater to the African American community. So literally they shut down for 2 months, redid the business model and said, how do we start catering to a different demographic? And that shows also how quickly the neighborhood shifted, that even this brand new gorgeous facility couldn't survive without catering to a new demographic. But that's really when the theater got its spirit, its soul. People would get gussied up to go see a film on a Friday, Saturday night. And then it became a community anchor. There was voter registration, Girl Scout meetings, opportunities of employment. And then there were legendary performances: Gladys Knight, B.B. King, Dave Chappelle, Erykah Badu, Prince, Vanilla Ice, Spinderella, did I say Ike and Tina Turner, B.B. King? The list goes on and on. But the walls, you can still feel it. There's certainly history there. So there's things in South Dallas that still feel very familiar to me. Driving across the bridge down MLK Boulevard, the sentiment and that feeling when you're crossing over the bridge hasn't changed, but now the streets are changing. You see things differently. Over the horizon doesn't look exactly the same. So there are physical pieces that are changing. It still feels welcoming and like home. It doesn't feel strange. My hope for Force Forward's role in this work and in South Dallas is to provide endless opportunities to residents in the community, for opportunities of employment, for business, to create, to design. There's so much talent walking around South Dallas, and to be able to have this much impact to just activate and unlock all the special things for all the people, the students at the Arts Academy, the students across South Dallas. There's so much talent to be unlocked. And I think what is a frustrating point of this work is when you realize the difference for students and their opportunities and meeting their full potential is opportunity, access, things that we could bring straight to their doorstep. So sometimes you'll see me get a little frustrated when I'm like, just give them the opportunity. But that is what I'm most excited about, is unleashing all of the talent that is in the community.